View from the Gutters, episode 95. Welcome to View from the Gutters, the comic book podcast where each episode we discuss a collected edition, trade paperback, or graphic novel, and then recommend and vote on the book for the next episode. Warning: the discussion portion of this show has massive spoilers for that book. On this episode, we discuss Four Eyes, and to skip ahead to the recommendation section, skip to 114.01. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
95.
Yes.
Boom. Nailed
Awesome.
it. First guess.
You did it.
Did you look it up?
Was that? No. I just remember last week was 94.
Now,
Which seems like that's what I should do every week, but
what
I
week
don't.
of image pitches is it, though?
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
We should just pick an arbitrary number and work.
No, I'm going to find out.
It's like 21?
Someone email me again. That's what happened last
It's 20
Brandon,
or
I know
21.
you're counting.
You're in your early 20s.
I hope so. I don't know. I have so many more books left to pick. I might just extend it.
Books.
I'm going to pitch.
2 years.
Wait, we're not
Yeah.
to the pitch. I feel like we've been talking about so I feel
We
like
have been
we're doing
talking about
pitches now, right? No, wait, shit.
Let's
We haven't
move on to
even talked about
We have
recommendation.
not only a comic to talk about, but a specific topic.
Ooh, we got a cool
Oh,
topic,
yeah.
fan mail. So let's get started.
Yeah, and we're talking about Four Eyes this week. Also, I'm Tobiah Panchin.
Yeah, I'm in charge.
I'm Joe Pretty.
Grant, Gillihan, Eddie.
And I'm Kid Reynolds.
And I'm going to skip over my Joe Hay and go straight back to the book. So
I was going to make fun of Joe because a listener who was actually a friend of ours in
Yes.
real life was making that joke the other day about you not being able to say your name properly. And I was like, what? You listen to the show? And that was
I think
that was
I
funny.
responded. Was it on Facebook? or
No,
something?
it was to me personally.
'Cause
And
I
I
feel-
looked over at them like, you do have a lot of time on your hands now.
I feel like somebody said something.
was our good
and
friend,
I
Joe Drinker.
responded by saying that
hi,
I
Joe
do
Drinker.
it deliberately to fuck with Toby.
No,
yeah, you
which
said that
makes
on
sense.
Back Matter number 9.
Oh, okay.
Which
yes.
is not out yet.
No, it's out.
Oh, is it?
It came.
Oh,
It went out on
whatever.
Saturday.
I don't know what's going
Oh
on.
yeah, that was the one with our very special. That was a very special
that's-
edition.
I haven't listened to that one yet. That's why.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I got to say it was 100% adorable because we talked to my mom
I'm pretty
on this
excited
episode,
about
and my
this.
mom
Yeah,
is somebody who
that's-
like generally speaks from a position of authority. Like she knows what she's talking about. And after it went out, like I told her it was out, and she's like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And then like the next day, I was like, "So did you listen to it?" And she's like, "I haven't done it yet. Like I'm nervous because I think I'm going to sound stupid." And I'm like, "You're not going to sound stupid." And then she listened to it and she's like, "Wow, I didn't pause as much as I thought I did. I thought I had a lot of like ums and ers and just blank pauses." And I'm like, "Yeah, I took all of those out. Like that's what an editor does."
Yeah.
But now you can just imagine them all there because we've just told you that they were all there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
now you
you
don't have
should
to
have
listen
just
to
let
them,
it. You should have just let it lie.
though.
I know I have to kill all the mystery.
I was talking to someone about, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was when we first brought up the topic of having your mom on the show, and I was like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever heard of, a podcaster interviewing their mom. And then I was like, no, Toby's mom's way cooler than Toby is. This would be a way better edition of the show.
Wow.
So,
You say that having never met or spoken to my mom.
I say that never having met or spoken
And I'm not
to my mom,
arguing with
and
you.
I know that to be
I've
a fact.
spoken to Toby's mom. Way cooler than Toby.
Well, she's definitely smarter than I am.
But not as cool.
Right, sure, Brent.
Oh, I'm just trying to back Toby up here.
Yeah, get
He's
it.
feeling ganged up on, I can
Cool.
tell.
Oh, if he didn't feel ganged up on, then he would think something was wrong, and he'd be onto our plot to assassinate him later. And shit.
Joe,
God damn it! Why did you give me a microphone tonight?
Four Eyes.
I kind of wonder why we ever
Did
give
you
you
just
a
fucking call me
microphone.
Four Eyes?
No, I was like Four Eyes. The
Not
book we're
like
talking-
he
Get out!
needs it.
Stop.
Like, if we
Oh
turn
my
Joe's
God.
microphone off, we could still hear him.
That is true. And I'm tempted to do it right now.
So yes, Four Eyes.
It's an image
Charred.
book.
You pitched Four Eyes.
It's an image book by Joe Kelly.
It is.
I read it again. I read it today before we recorded, as usual, and I still really dig it. I still really enjoy it.
I wish it was
I was worried because
finished.
I was like, oh man, I haven't read this book since it came out. Like, I hope it's still good. Like, I know that I really liked it at the time, and I know I want to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about with this book, I think. Probably less about the book as a story and more about the book as, like, what happens in the comic book industry to books like this. Is kind of why I wanted to talk about it. But I do really dig the story. I think it's a cool setting, a cool world. It's a fun fantasy. You change one thing about a story, and you get a completely different world. Like, it's the 1930s that we know. There has been the Depression. Like, things are bad. There are gangsters. There are fucking horrible people. There are kids who can't eat and are working in factories. And, like, all that still exists in addition to dragons. And I like that. Like, it just worked for me. Like, I don't know. There's a couple other books that have been like this, that have been set in this similar time period. Severed was one that was like, it was set in this era, and it was all about like running, like smuggling, and you thought it was booze smuggling, and it turns out to be like blood smuggling for this vampire crime family, and then also an alien ship crash lands and they have laser guns. And I was like, I like that, but that almost felt like too much. That was a Jonathan Ross book, and I liked it, but that almost felt like too much. And so I think this was like, it was more subtle. It let you focus on like, it's still kind of a period piece. And I like that. And I love the art. I know that it's probably going to throw a lot of people because it's like really elongated.
Yeah,
Like,
actually, that is one of the issues that I had with it.
Yeah.
And like, I was trying to be really fair to the book.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And there were some
yeah.
things that bothered me, but there were also things that I really liked about it. And the art was definitely one of them. Like, it is a very, very exaggerated style.
Yeah.
Who was the artist?
I do not recall off the top. I'd have to look at it.
Oh, gee.
Like, and like, it's sometimes it seemed
not the
more
only one who didn't come
exaggerated
prepared.
than others.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely times when he's running where his legs are like super long.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to me, it's like, that's the animatorly like aspect of comics that I really enjoy. It's
And
like,
I kind of feel like if this had been an animation, it wouldn't have bothered me nearly as much. Like,
that's interesting.
I guess it kind of felt like it should be moving, and it wasn't.
Max Fiumara.
Yeah, who I believe is French. And it looks very French if he's not French.
Yeah.
So it's like very European in
It
its
feels very
influences.
European.
Like Spanish or French or something. And I don't know. I like exaggeration in art. Like, I really like that push and pull.
Yeah, I liked this art. The thing that actually threw me off the most is that it's the exact same art team, but there's a subtle shift in the coloring between issues 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Where it switches from being a little bit more jagged and rough to being a little bit more like smoothed over. Almost like I'd almost say like he switched from an analog to a digital process.
Yeah.
And it like makes things just smooth enough that I'm like, I don't like it as much.
No.
Like, and because I just read it and I was reading it on a high fidelity screen, I like really jumped
Yeah.
out at me. I was like, I actually stopped, looked at who the artists were, the credentials, went back to issue 2 and said, is something different about this? It's like, no, it's the
No.
exact same people. So
Yeah.
somebody must have tweaked something.
And
I noticed that.
I
It
always
also
wonder.
could
Yeah.
have had to do with different money situations in between the issues.
Yeah, there
Could've-
were pretty significant gaps between when these issues were released.
Could have been.
A lot of them it seemed to be they came out every 6 months. It was between 2008 and 2010
Yeah.
that these 4 came out.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
Even in the last year, he's been talking about getting out issues 5 and 6.
Yeah, it's still listed as an ongoing through Image, so I wonder when colors change the way they color if there's some editorial influence on that sometimes. And Image doesn't really have editorial,
Yeah.
so like I can't really use that in this case. But
Unless maybe, I mean, like, I guess in a lot of circumstances, my impression would be that maybe the writers are providing that editorial oversight.
right. But you'd think that they would hire a colorist, like see their like original colors on one and be
Yeah.
like, "We like this, like keep doing that." And so I feel like it was a personal choice and it changed. And well, I don't hate the new colors, but I do prefer the colors in 1 and 2.
Well, I
Well,
kind of
what I'm saying,
wonder
it's
if it's a
possible that the
case where they like the colorist like got a new program, like updated from Photoshop 5 to Photoshop 6 or something like that.
Maybe.
Or like decided like I'm going to do things in a little bit of a different way, and it's going to be
Yeah.
a little janky when I first make the change, but it will make me better as an artist as I go.
Yeah, I think it's just more like a personal preference because it just gets everything
That's
just
what
gets
it
smoother.
feels like to me.
Yeah,
It
smoother.
definitely feels like, especially if there were big gaps between the books, it feels
mean,
like he
for all
was
we know,
experimenting perhaps with different filter layers or different just methods of doing it, and it feels like it was a choice. And I mean, with Image that fits in because Image is It's like you said, there really is no editorial.
Who knows what it could be like? Well, for all we know, it could be that in between when the issues came out, maybe they're in a different studio, different computers. Maybe they physically could not continue that style with the systems they were using.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it, but I don't think that changing technology changes your style that much. Like, I could go through like 15 different versions of the sound software, and I'm still gonna come out on the other end.
They're like standards in these things.
It's still gonna be like what I want it to be. Like, regardless of changing software, like I'm not gonna put something out if I'm not happy with it. So I don't think like he would have switched software and been like, I don't like this, but I'm gonna put it out anyway.
What else could he have been putting out at the time that he hadn't been putting out before?
I think this was like,
unless it was a downgrade.
I mean, it could be, but I just think it's like, you try not to put out stuff that you're not happy with, right? And so I feel like this is probably a conscious choice, unless it was a time constraint, which it doesn't sound like it was because of the time that went by.
And as a colorist, you're providing your own technology because that's your bread and butter. You need to have it on hand. So, I mean, that's
why I'm saying there could have been a lack of money since the 1 and 2 came out because they were taking so long. He wasn't getting paid. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so jarring.
Maybe he had to sell his good computer, get a less good one.
Yeah. Maybe
still was trying to put it out to get that paycheck.
Maybe his wife cut his right hand off, and he had to relearn to color with his left hand through, all this treacherous
with the hook on his
right hand.
All I'm saying is that
what it was is he was in a helicopter in Africa, and he thought he saw his gym teacher, except he was black, and so he waved from the helicopter,
and then he cut his hand off.
And yeah.
All
that
I'm
was a
saying
reference.
Is that time can change a lot of things, and you never really know.
Well, I totally agree with you, and I think what it changes is like style.
I mean, it changes the feel. I wouldn't call it jarring, but there is a feel. There is a change to feel. It definitely feels a little bit grittier to me in the first 2 issues, which being in the Depression and in New York. Like, that's where my grandparents came from, so I grew up, like, listening to stories of, like, the boroughs in New York in the 30s. And, like, it was a gritty place, you had people fucking, like, when my grandfather was a boy, somebody fucking, the mafia shot up some guy in front of his house, and his mom brought him some water or something, it's like, it was not necessarily the safest place to be. So it was kind of a gritty place. Mm-hmm. But I don't think... and this is probably just me, like, unless it's a very jarring change... It doesn't normally bother me. It's not like, and I think that's probably because I grew up when I was consuming the most comics. It was in the 90s where like an artist could be put on a book and then ripped off to put on somewhere else because that issue sold 50 more copies than it did last month. And then,
well, I mean, that still happens.
Yeah, I mean it does too. But I think that like, and you had Image and stuff like that where people were just always having guest pencilers and like.
Well, if any listeners out there, or if Nestor Pereira himself is a listener, perhaps you can send us an email.
Let us know.
I think
to let us know why.
I dig it on the first issues. I'm like flipping through them quickly, like back and forth between the issues on my iPad really quickly. And although I really dig the colors in the first issues, like I prefer it. Like I think it actually like he's a better colorist than the last 2 issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think overall I preferred the later issues.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I enjoyed the book as a whole. Like all 4 issues, I did think they were very well done.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it all. I was just saying I noticed.
There's more subtle changes between the colors. Like, he uses the palette better when it's, like, in the dark, in the cave with the dragon. Like, things just, like, they look a little bit better.
In general, I think when it's darker, it feels...
However, better. I also feel kind of... What Joe said, the first 2 issues felt grittier. It was, depression, whatnot. I do kind of feel maybe the change could be related to the fact that it becomes a more fantastical book.
Yeah.
I mean,
as opposed to a gritty depression book, it became a dragon book.
We do get more fantastic pages in some of the later ones. Like, there's the scene where the janitor's like, or not the janitor, but the lead hunter guy, He's like, who's
The
cleaning
trainer.
He's the trainer, but he's like cleaning up in the back room, and there's that guy that's like, wow, you're a hero, sir. And the that janitor guy is talking to him, and he's like storming out of the room, and there's like all the dragon eggs on the walls behind him. Like that coloring is so cool. There's like so much warmth and like fluorescence to everything that's going on, and it's different than what we've seen before in the issues, and I think that there's just some really cool fantasy elements that come out in those later issues.
Oh, the art and the color
Tobias, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Did you want to add more?
No. I think you covered what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
The art and the color was hands down my favorite part of this. I feel really odd. It's oftentimes just because I work full time now, so I don't have as much time, and the weekends are usually spent kind of decompressing and not thinking about things. So I usually, especially if it's a shorter book, I'll read it in the time between between getting home from work on Monday and coming down to record. And I'll usually kind of process it down here, and normally I kind of want to, if I'm conflicted about something, I like to hear you guys talk about it. To kind of help, get my own thoughts in line. And completely separate from the book, I hate talking about books like this. Not because of the content of this book, because it's an unfinished story. And it's very difficult for me to form an opinion on it because I'm immediately annoyed because I'm like, all right, so he's got a dragon now. That's like,
and
that's
Joe
the worst,
Kelly
but
has told us what happens in issue 5 and has told us what happens in issue 6.
Yeah, but
they're just not out yet, so we don't know.
But that's the thing. They not being out is the same to me as them not existing. I can't read them. The story is not progressing. I'm sure Joe Kelly has not only plotted the fucking rest of this whole thing, like he knows what the arc is. It's that judging an incomplete work it's not fair, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't talk about the elements of the story I liked because I didn't... it's not that I didn't like any of the story elements. It's that I didn't like the fact that I don't know where the fuck the story is going.
I think that you nailed it right on the head when you said judging the work is not fair.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Because I think you just should enjoy a work.
Well, I think that there's
I don't think there needs to be judgment here. We're not like
Well,
passing
no,
judgment.
but I mean, like even discussing an
No, I know what you
unfinished
mean.
work. It's like, I mean, judgment.
It's the journey, not the end.
Well,
Who gives a
I don't
shit how it
think
ends?
that you
Yeah, but the
necessarily
journey
have to be fair.
The
Like-
journey ended at a fucking cliff. It was like,
Yeah.
I'd like to. I see the other end over there.
Maybe.
But I can't.
What if it never came out? What if no more ever comes out? Can
Well,
you not
but-
enjoy the first issues of this and be like, oh, that was really interesting?
Think about
Well,
that,
I
Game of
mean-
Thrones fans.
Well, I just mean
How would you feel if the rest of it never
I
came
will
out?
kill you.
there's a lot of books
for
out there
even
that
suggesting such a thing.
I'll
end,
give
you
you.
know what
I'll
I
give
mean?
you my perfect example. My father and I love this series. It's called The War with the Couture by David Gerald, who was responsible for writing A Trouble with Tribbles. It's basically a halfway weird mock-up of Starship Troopers, at least the style in which it's written, but it's about basically an alien species invading Earth. It's supposed to be 7 books, or maybe 8. The guy wrote the 4th book 20-something years ago now. He's supposedly written books 5 and 6, just like Joe Kelly's supposedly written issues 5 and 6. He's even told us what's supposed to kind of happen in books 5 and 6. They haven't come out. And David Gerald at this point, I think, is in his late 50s, early 60s. It may happen, but it probably won't. Does it mean those first 4 books are garbage? I would argue no.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, novels have a little bit more of a cycle of completion than a comic does.
Yeah.
So, in some ways, you could make the argument that this is a much more incomplete than that series.
Yeah.
But I think you can talk about both things. I don't think it's fair or unfair to talk about its incomplete. I think there's a lot of things that we could talk about in regard to Four Eyes that are completely fair to analyze it within the context of other stories like it or not like it in comics.
Right.
The fact that it has a lot of potential and that we're frustrated because it didn't keep going is certainly something worth judging it for, because Joe Kelly's not a guy who's lacking in an ability to get things published.
No, he makes a lot of shit.
So the question then becomes, why is this not a priority? Or what is it that made... I mean, it's completely possible that there are things beyond his control that kept this book from coming out, right? Like, he's completely gung-ho about it. Every day he wakes up, the first thing on his checklist is, get 4 Eyes published, and he's like, fuck, I still can't do it because of X, Y, or Z.
Right.
David Gerald, funny enough, says that that's one of his reasons, that his book rights are all messed up, and I'm sure we could do a back matter and talk to Tobiah and the rest of his family about issues with people publishing shit, and some of the chaos that happens around that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it can go both ways. I think that you're right, Joe, that in some ways you can't judge it. You can't judge them the totality of its worth.
Of
I guess, yeah. I mean,
you can't judge it as a whole, but you can judge what is out so
Why I
far,
judge
how well it's going. I mean, that's what a lot of TV channel people do midway through a season. They can't judge how well it's going to do by the end of the season, but they go by what's out so far. I mean, that's why Firefly got canceled before the first season was even over.
well, but I mean, I think you're neglecting the fact that Fox has no idea how to fucking run a television station.
Right.
Because they also fucking canceled Futurama. Like, I got
what
to
I'm
see
saying,
Matt
though, is
Groening
that people
speak,
do judge things before they're complete. And whether that
people
is
are also
quote, unquote,
responsible
fair
for
or
like,
not.
I mean, do you see what's on television these days?
No, actually, I don't
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
television.
I mean,
I watch a lot of quality television.
there is more quality television now than there ever has been.
because there's
I
more
will say that.
television now.
There's
I will
one of the
tell
other
you,
podcasts.
there's a lot of quality Netflix.
One of the podcasts I
There's
listened
that
to was
too.
talking. It was Natasha Lyonne, I think, and she was talking about how it's a fluke. Television is not meant to be this good. That's like she was actually making. She was like, it's bad TV because bad TV should be bad, like, and it's not. Like, TV is all of a sudden like good now, and it's weird. But
that argument is weird.
That isn't a weird argument.
well, it's also in the context. It's Comedy Bang Bang, which is just a weird
Yeah.
podcast in general.
It's like-
but like,
Yeah.
I think the thing is, it's like, for me, what I'm saying is that I didn't really like anybody in this book. Not because I felt they were poorly written, but because clearly I'm seeing them all at the beginning of their arc, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and like, I can definitely understand characters, you know, but like, it's like,
Okay, but the same thing happened in the first some odd episodes in Game of Thrones that made you keep watching it.
yes, but
So the same things are happening in the first few issues of Four Eyes that you want it to be completed.
so first of all, there's a shit ton more information in the first season of Game of Thrones. Secondly,
I'm not
I
talking
still
about
walked
the-
away from the first season of Game of Thrones hating people that now I see a lot, that I understand a lot better because I've gotten that character development.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, I'm not saying that like, I don't want to talk about this book. I'm saying it's difficult for me because
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like I don't have all the facts that I need. It's like when we talked about S.H.I.E.L.D., right? I walked away from S.H.I.E.L.D. not liking it, but admitting that it was probably because it didn't have an ending yet.
Yeah, I think that's like a huge difference between the way that you and I enjoy media in general. Is it's like I don't see the end of a lot of the stuff that I read,
Which is
because
fair, yeah.
I do weekly books about single issue comics, and like sometimes they don't finish for years, so like I'm not gonna see the ends of those for a long time. There's a lot of series that I absolutely love that don't have endings. I don't finish most video games that I play because I just don't have time, and like I don't care. Like, it's about the journey. It's about like what can I
Right.
get from, like, am I enjoying it as I'm reading it? There's things about Four Eyes that I absolutely love
I
in
will-
the 4 issues.
But in keeping with the journey metaphor, it's different if the journey leaves me at like a hotel somewhere where I can chill out and kind of like reflect on it, and leaving me in like the middle of the fucking road and just being like, peace out.
I don't think this leaves you there.
funny enough, what
Well,
I
no,
would,
I'm not saying this. I mean, I think
okay.
it's kind of a halfway point at this.
Yeah.
I think it like this leaves you at the edge of a
And-
city, and it's like if you walk down here
Yeah.
and make 2 lefts, you'll find a pretty decent hotel.
It's like end of Act 1, and then the music comes on.
Yeah,
It's like, bum, 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 bum,
but,
bum,
like,
and then you're
I
ready
can-
for Act 2.
yeah, like I can definitely appreciate the journey. Like
Yeah.
I'm all about the journey. I understand that. A good ending can make or break. Like,
Sure.
Why the Last Man? People keep threatening me with Why the Last Man recently, and I'm like, I like most of Why the Last Man. I hate the fucking ending. But but I don't have to read the ending again. I can appreciate that for the journey.
There you go.
Right?
I think it's interesting that you bring up characters in the book because it was something that I wanted to talk about more because I was kind of interested in the way that you guys felt about this, but I like that there's only kind of one character in this book. Like, there are peripheral characters, but the kid is, like, the main... It's his story, so the focus is on him and his, like, magical mind relationship with his father. Like... There isn't. I mean, like the other characters are there, but they're not fully formed either because this is a story that only has 4 issues, or because they're not going to be like explored as much as that main character's story. Like,
I think to the extent that you can write a comic as a first-person account, or what is? I need your help, Toby. There's third person impartial, and then there's third person.
There's first person, there's third person personal, and there's third person omniscient.
Okay, so
And
this
second person.
is basically written third person personal.
Yes, it is being told from a perspective not inside Enrico's head, but you are getting information from his perspective.
every once in a while, you get tidbits
Oh,
of
sure,
like
sure.
his mom and that weird guy. The vegetable salesman,
Yeah.
but most of the time, like Enrico is in the scene.
Right.
So wait, is omniscient like basically narration?
Basically,
And-
the difference is in third person omniscient, you, the reader, are being given information by the narrator that the characters don't know.
Okay.
Third person personal is the story still being narrated to you by a third person,
Right.
but you don't know anything except what the characters know.
So it's like fly
you're
on
getting
the-
their perspective.
Right.
Like fly on the wall or
Well, in
Right.
Game of Thrones,
Sure.
writes very strongly in third person personal.
So
right?
question,
Right,
Tobias,
right.
what would it be if like you're reading a detective fiction, but every so often you also get a chapter from the killer's point of view, but then it immediately goes back
That-
to the
It's third person
detective.
personal.
That would
but
still
it's
be
like,
Yeah,
third person
it's-
That's
personal.
like that's how Game of Thrones works,
Yeah,
right?
it's just
like you'll
changing
get
the POV character.
Right.
a character,
Oh,
like a
let
chapter
me give
from
you-
Joffrey.
So, but
Let me
that's
give
still
you an
considered
example.
Third person personal.
Let me give you an example. I read a Dan Brown book once. And by that, I
say that
mean
with
I
such
read
disdain.
30
You did-
pages
I was
of
gonna
Angels
say-
and Demons. And it starts out and he's going to some laboratory. I think it might have been CERN or something like that.
It was-
And he's walking down the hallway.
Is that in that book?
And there's a guy who's in like a wind tunnel. Like he's doing a free fall exercise or something
Yes.
like that. And the narrator goes like, the main character, whatever the fuck his name was, didn't
Robert
know it at the
Langdon.
time, but this information would save his life one day. That's third person omniscient. You're being given information that the character doesn't know.
In Stranger Than Fiction, the movie, when
Oh yeah, Emma Watson.
when he's
Oh
talking
my
about
god, that
little
movie
did he
is
know.
so much better than it has any right to be.
That is actually, in fact, the line that made me stop reading that book
Yeah.
and swear that I would never read a Dan Brown book again as long as I lived.
I don't think 30 pages qualifies you for being able to say you read the book, though.
I read an article recently that said you should give every book 50 pages before you throw it out, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that because I certainly threw books away faster than that and don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, I really.
And I finished books I should have thrown out at 50 pages, but
You were bored. You had some time.
Twilight.
I don't think there's
But in,
anything
Yeah, why
in
did you do that?
regard to the question of judging something before it's done, I think that there are definitely certain questions you can't answer because they're dependent on how things are resolved.
Sure.
But I think it is entirely valid to critique the things that are there on the page. For
Absolutely.
example, I think that Four Eyes has a pacing problem. I think these 4 issues are way too slow.
That's really funny because I was actually going to say I was really impressed and enjoyed the fact that it didn't get into this whole thing with the little dragon so quickly.
Yeah.
I liked that it spent time really exploring this kid who he's around, like his, what did you call it? His magical mind relationship with his father.
Yeah, it's not weird.
Like
Everyone has one of those.
I liked the fact that I wasn't like, I feel like if I had picked this up from a lot of other creators, the end of book 1 would have been like,
After the first melee with.
yeah. So what comes to mind for me, and I don't know why exactly, is Thunderbolts #1. So at the very end, it's like, and everyone that will soon, be beholden to the masters of evil. Like, oh my god, the Masters of Evils are the Thunderbolts. But like you find that out by the first issue. So the rest of the year-long run, you're like, I already know this. I feel like most books I would have read would have done the same thing. Like by the end of issue 1, all of that stuff would have been thrown out there and it would have been like, and now I have a dragon.
Yeah.
But that's not the important part. Not really.
Yeah.
The important part is the story about this kid and the things that he's feeling like he has to do.
And that's the thing, is that I think that it's an issue of density, that it's okay for it to take a while to do things if there's other stories going on at the same time that are being set up and resolved. Like there's an entire first story arc that ends with him like having the dragon and doing and like being like, I'm going to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for the story that we got, there wasn't like enough in it to really justify it being as long as it was.
I didn't feel it was
I can
long.
see where Tobias coming from here.
I kind of expected it to feel, because we had chatted about it a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just my perspective.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say that I actually kind of expected it to feel longer, and maybe that's why it didn't feel long. Like I'm satisfied with the arc. I like that he's plotting these threads at that, and I feel like it's very true to the time period too. Like this is a very, like nowadays we're very much into like infantilizing our kids, right? But in the 30s, if you were fucking 12 years old, you could fucking work.
Yeah, he's looking for a job at like 8.
Yeah, and like not like deliver the fucking paper, but like go and work in the goddamn foundry, like pour fucking molten steel into molds and shit. Like
They'll make a Ford grill.
Like you could fucking if you were able bodied and especially if you went to work. Like my fucking grandmother who was born in the 20s was working in sweatshops from the time she was a teenager. That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
So like, and I like that there's this kind of like it's him and his mom, and he wants to live up to his dad's legacy. At the same time, he knows he needs to be like the king of the castle, right? And like this whole idea, and that there's all these like plot threads.
There's a lot of imagery.
Yeah, and
Joe is waving his arms around like a bear.
That happened.
I like the story. Like I like the characters. I like the setup and where it's going and the world and his relationship with his mom. Like that's all really cool. But by the end of the second issue, I was like, get to the fucking point already.
Get to the dragons.
Well, what's interesting to me is, and of course we can only guess. But I almost wonder if it was an intentional plotting thing, so then he doesn't have to spend time on those points later, right? So now, Arc 2, we get into dragon fighting and this kid's relationship to that whole thing, and we'll still get flashes of the other stuff, but the groundwork has been very firmly set for who those characters are. So when mob boss guy comes in and is an asshole, it's like, well, we know why and what his attitude on life is. When other weird dragon hunter who's like, I'm nothing like your father, shows up, we're like, okay, we've already established that guy's got some serious problems and has no problem letting a whole bunch of other people die to get his job done. Like, it's funny, like it's top loading a bunch of information, which I could see like really helping the pace stay up later, but of course we don't know that for sure, right? Because we don't have the rest of the book.
And that becomes an issue when you're not talking about even a monthly series. You're taling about one where an issue came out every 6 months and then not for 4 years. And I was thinking about this after I finished, and I'm like, well, there's not really any material that I would want to take out. And I hesitate to question Joe Kelly because obviously, like, he's a professional comics writer. He's been doing this for years. Like, he's very good at what he does.
Question
on the other hand,
him.
like, if it were me doing this series, I would have taken a lot of this material and I would have put it later in the story as like flashbacks and stuff. Like, have the stuff where his father dies, then jump to he's got the dragon and he's doing shit, and then flash back to all the material in between where like his family's struggling. Like, how did he go from one moment having his father killed by a dragon to the next moment like raising a dragon to fight?
I
and
think
build that in
those
later.
become different stories, though.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot banking on this premise of the uniqueness of the dragon and that circumstance that has to be built up to and you can't flash back to. For me,
Also,
I
when you
do
said
see merit in what Tobias is saying. I just think it could work both ways, and this is the way he chose to.
Yes, there are
do
obviously
it.
different stories, and I'm not saying that I could have done a better job than Joe Kelly.
but you could have done a better job.
The way that I read the story, like, it felt very top heavy. It felt very slow. Like, I'm reading through all this stuff and I'm like, yes, okay, this is good stuff. This is cool. I want to get to the story. Like, this all feels like prologue that I'm not invested in hearing about.
It was, this interesting. It kind of feels like a weird Zero issue in a way. Like,
Yeah.
all of it together.
Like
it
a
does
4-issue
feel like a
long
prologue.
Zero issue.
But I wonder. Here's my question. I gotta phrase this properly. Could the difference between you and me in this case be that I think this is a depression story that happens to have a dragon in it, and you want it to be a dragon story set in the depression?
I think that is absolutely a legitimate way of putting that, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, Brent.
Mind
Like, that's exactly
blown.
what I was going to say about Joe's point, which is, like, is it fair to really judge or critique a work based on 4 issues? Is, like, you think it's really top-heavy, and it's like, and that may be if there are only 3 more issues, and and then he rushes those last 3. Like,
that's
then
the
I
tricky
would
thing.
totally agree. Like, yeah, it was top-heavy, but, like, without seeing what comes... If there's 100 more issues of this... Like, will these first 4 issues feel top-heavy? And I'm like, I don't know. And so
Right.
that's where I'm on Joe's page, where it's like, it is kind of hard to judge, like, what's it going to be about.
I absolutely agree.
And
It's tricky.
I'm also with Brant in that this is a depression story to me. And I love it. And I love the weird relationship between him and his father. And I love the story about his mom. And I love all of that stuff. And I like that it's about dragons, but I don't really care about the dragons. And so to me, it's like, yeah, that was all, like, essential. That was the plot.
I'm going to be honest. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's probably definitely. I feel like it's definitely the first time I've ever said it.
I've typed
really
9 and 1 into the phone just in case.
Okay, are you ready? I really don't give a fuck about the dragons in this story. This reminds me a lot of, like, The Godfather, and that's what I'm really interested in. Is like, because I'm a huge fan. Like, not just the movie The Godfather, but the book, and like,
Yeah.
in The Godfather 2, they get very much into, like, the main character from the first one, into his origin and where he came from, and how, like, that shaped this experience he had as a boy, shaped his entire fucking life. And, like, that's really what kind of...
I was dialing 911 because I thought you were going to say that you agreed with Toby, and I thought it was going to make you have an aneurysm.
I mean, no, though. I can understand, like, I can definitely
I was
understand what he's saying, and I think that it is somewhere in
He'll
between.
never
like,
say it.
I will never fucking say it on the air. I'll give
I
you
think
that.
you have already,
I
to
have.
be
I
fair.
definitely have. I can definitely see where you're coming from, because without the meat, you know, because like I mean, without that second arc, it's very hard to tell what's going on. And I think I really could see Joe Kelly doing something that Brand's suggesting, where he's like, he's front loading the story so that when the fucking dragon hits, he can just be like, yeah, dragons fuck shit up, and that's what's going on now.
Well, here's the thing. There's another story that's similar to this in a number of ways that I immediately started comparing this to. And I'm going to completely fuck up the pronunciation, and maybe Brent can help me with that. The Tremere series by Naomi Novak that begins with His Majesty's Dragon, which is basically, it's the Napoleonic Wars with dragons. And the first book, you're on the deck of a ship, and there's a dragon egg that's about to hatch. And then in the chapter 1, the egg hatches, and the captain of the ship bonds with the newly hatched dragon, and it's like, okay, you're not part of the Navy anymore. You're now part of the Royal Dragon Force.
Because once the dragon bonds, no one else can bond with.
Please tell me
Right.
it's actually called Dragon Force.
It's not. That would be cool.
That would be
But-
That sounds like a
amazing.
show with space lasers.
And like, so like chapter 1, shit's happening, and you're immediately
Yeah.
off on this adventure. And the way that I equate it is, if you had this book, and for like 6 chapters, he's sailing around on this goddamn boat, and they're talking about dragons, and they're talking about dragon fighting, but there's no fucking dragons in the story. Like, they're not doing anything. And then
there
like
were-
chapter 7, it's like, oh, now he's got a dragon. Now we can actually get to the goddamn point.
But there were dragons. Like, we saw a dragon kill his dad in a
Yes, and
fiery
that part
blast.
was cool.
We saw 2 dragons
That part
rip each other apart.
the part where his
And that
childhood
didn't
was
happen
totally ruined. That part
until
was awesome.
much like later.
This is in issue 2.
Yeah, but it's like the end of issue.
I mean,
2.
there's dragon shit in every issue.
Though. I mean, like, I get it.
Yes, yes.
They are dense issues.
But right,
I agree
but
with
what
you.
But what I'm saying is that the story begins with, for me, when he like bonds with the dragon, and he's like, I'm going to train this dragon.
And that's interesting, because the story for me begins when I open the book and start reading the first page.
That's just you.
That's a personal-
weird predilection.
That is a personal
seriously,
choice.
I would
Chard,
be-
what planet were
I
you
will say
born
this.
on?
I may be even. and this is weird for me to say again, because dragons are inherently cool. I think I might actually be more interested in the fucking book if there were no dragons. But like I said, that's just the kind of
I
story
don't know how that would
speaks-
I
work
don't know
because
that I
then
would
what his
read
dad
it.
just gets.
Then you're just talking about The Godfather.
Yeah.
Not rel. You're talking about the Dare father, because it's like Daredevil and half the Godfather. But like,
Sure.
I mean, I
like
think
God
the
Devil more.
reason I can get like the weirdness I feel is because it's not done and I don't know where to go. It's like the way I connect with characters is through their arc, and so when I have a half finished arc, I'm kind of like, well, these people all suck. And then it's like, I don't want to say, well, they all suck, because I don't really know shit about them. But like, I will say this, I know this inside of myself that the dragons thing, I was like, okay, the dragons thing is cool, but I'm definitely caught up in Enrico's story. Like, I definitely want to know what he's going to fucking do. I don't think it's going to be hide a donkey, come to America and start his own olive oil business and then go back and do what he needs to do there. I'm not going to spoil a fucking 20, 30, 40-year-old movie. Academy Award winning movie.
One of those.
It's 40,
30 or
45.
40
I think
years.
it's 45.
It's all right. It's okay.
43.
But
42,
I wanted
41.
to also bring up a topic that a listener
Yes.
sent in to us talking about this series. And we got an email from the illustrious Brian May.
Yes.
And he was asking if we would share our thoughts on creators using comics as a way to break into other media. He says some comics exist solely as pitch documents for movies and TV shows. Joe Kelly is the creator of hit TV cartoons like Ben 10, and at this point has no need to work in comics, yet they still make comics for the sake of making comics. Are comics made to show how the story could work in a moving picture format, inherently lesser comics?
No,
I will not share my thoughts about this.
Yes and no.
you will not.
I'm starting.
Go for it.
I'm starting. I don't care what you guys have to say. Because I've talked about this before on Top of the Stack. I read a book. I believe it was called Deep Gravity. I can't look it up or put annotations on an audio podcast. However, I believe it was called Deep Gravity. This is the part on Top of the Stack where I would bring in the words on the bottom to tell me that I'm wrong. But it was basically like, it was a movie. Like, I was reading the script to a movie. Like, it was so blatantly like, this isn't a comic book at all. Like, they're not playing with the medium. They're not trying a new genre. This is like, absolutely, these are action shots from film. And it was so obvious, and it bothered me. And I was like, it's still a good story. I just cannot enjoy it because all I see is the fact that you made the splash pages in the middle like movie posters, you know?
Yeah, I've
Like,
definitely read comics that read as if they were storyboards
Yeah.
for a movie script.
and there's definitely been books where that was the intention and they've outright said it, you know, like this is what we want to make this into, you know, TV show X or this movie or a thing, you know, like we're here to get optioned. And I don't feel that about this book at all. And I think that was why really interesting that Brian brought that up in this book, because I think that something I really respect about Joe Kelly is his comic work and his cartoon work are two completely different things. Because I know Ben 10 would be an awesome comic book, and he knows Ben 10 would be an awesome comic book.
It was an awesome comic book when it was called Dial H for Hero.
Well, not sort of.
Yeah, it wasn't
I mean,
actually that great,
not-
unfortunately.
And it also wasn't really that. I mean, it was kind of similar.
I believe that Joe Kelly or someone else associated with the show has gone on record saying, yeah, this is, like, we used that as a starting point. Like,
Yeah.
that was the core inspiration. And then, of course, like, we went in our own
Well, it's like,
direction
what if
after
a
that.
hero was all the heroes? Like, that's kind of like what both of those were, for sure. And
Did he do Generator Rex too? Or Generate?
I don't know.
It's the same studio that did Ben 10. I
Well,
think.
okay, then the Men of Action team is Joe Kelly, Joe Casey, and somebody else.
There were
and
two other people.
two other people, and
and,
they're the ones that worked on Ben 10 and stuff. And I know that it would be cool, and I think that they did it as an animated series on purpose. And I think that the reason that Joe Kelly and Joe Casey still write comic books is because they can do stuff in comic books that they can't do in television.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't think Butcher Baker, the Righteous Maker, would ever be on television or a film. Like, it can exist in comic books because that's where that kind of stuff can exist.
Well, the most prescient example in my mind is actually the opposite example. And maybe I am alone in this room or perhaps in this cosmos and holding this opinion. I think Sin City is a shitty movie because I don't think that they differentiated it enough from the comic book. Like, I think they took the comic book pages and they put them up on the screen, and they didn't do enough work to adapt it into being a movie. Like, it's just a comic book on the screen. And I can definitely see, like, the opposite case
Sin City
being...
is a sound and light show.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
keep going. Sorry.
I can see the opposite case being the thing. Like, if you're trying to make a movie on the comic book page and go like, this is my pitch document, like,
Yeah.
you're not going to exploit the comic book page to its optimum value because you're like, I have to do this panel in this way because ultimately this is supposed to translate into a movie, and a movie would be filmed in this manner.
It would be paced like this. It would be They would speak like this.
Like, it's not a useful. It's not a good use of the medium.
And I think that I get that. Like, I totally am on the page with you. But I disagree 100% with Sin City because what I liked was they were like, you know what no one's ever done before is taken comic book panels and like shot for shot recreated them on the screen and gone like, you're not looking at a movie, you're looking at moving comic book panels. And I think it achieves that. So,
I think
like,
it definitely.
if that was its goal, like,
Yes,
I think it succeeded.
I agree. I think it definitely. I think that was their goal, and I think that they succeeded in that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that it necessarily makes for a good movie.
I enjoyed watching it. So.
It's interesting because I was just reading an article today that seems relevant to that part of the conversation, and then I want to circle back to say something else.
Sure.
First is that so James Cameron is kind of talking mad smack about Avatar 2 and basically being like, you will like soil yourself, it will be so amazing, and
Starting the hype train early.
yeah, starting the hype train early. And then of course somebody in the comments of that article basically said something to the effect of, you know, I was not in a position to see the film. I didn't see it till I got, you know, had a chance to watch it at home. I was not impressed. And the person who immediately responded to that individual said, well, the problem is that this was a film that was designed, completely marketed, and intended to be experienced in a very specific circumstance, right? Arguably in 3D, right?
Yeah.
And especially in a theater. And I saw it both ways, in 3D and not in 3D. And I would agree. Like, you sit at home and watch Avatar, it's like, you know, watching Pocahontas, Last of the
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully or Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So you know, you got these really complicated arguments about what mediums are intended for, quote unquote, what they're capable of doing, and then whether or not one gets used in one way, which way constitutes a good use of that medium.
No, I'm down.
And that's why I emphatically said, is it a bad thing or is it a problem or whatever? To the question, I said no. Because, yeah, there are people who will make shitty comics, whether they intend for it to be a film or not. And then there are people who, for whatever reason, have design aesthetics, that's their background, whatever, who are not going to use comics in the way that other folks might use the medium, who may even be relying on movies as their model for creating comics, but will still make good comics or good stories. And so I think that there's no moral play there. Like, this is why sometimes when it's like people are like, you know, the people who get paid to do their work are less valuable than the people who like do art because they want to do art. It's like, well, everybody who does art wants to get paid. It's just some people are better about it and have less illusions about what it takes to make that happen. Like, I think it's not fair to cast a argument about whether or not it's good or bad. It is.
Well, and for art too, is like, would it compromise your vision to get paid? Like, would getting paid and getting it out there like stand in the way of you doing it the way you wanted to do it, right? Like, would editorial come down and go like, stop doing that? Like,
right. Which, I mean,
right.
We've made arguments that maybe like the Paradise X, right? Like, maybe it would have been a different story. Maybe it even would have been a better one had editorial not thrown Kruger under a bus the way that it did.
Certainly, I think that there is an argument that can be made to an artist, like the moment that we introduce the concept of paying you for your art, it changes how you go about making it, because whether you want to or not, there's a part of your brain that's going, would this be more popular? Would this sell more copies if I did it this way?
Sure.
Well, and so also, that they therefore want to go like, no, I don't even want to consider the idea of ever selling my art, because that just even the idea of it would compromise it.
Well, and also the opposite side of that is like, if once you do start to get paid for making something, like it becomes harder to stop making it, and you start to make it because you know it will get you paid. Like,
Well,
as an actor, like, you might be in a bad movie because you know it gets you paid. Or, like, a more personal example, like, I hate making this show, and I've wanted to quit forever, but the millions of dollars that we make every week making it,
Oh, yeah.
like, I have to stay and make it
Hey.
now. Like, I rely on this to feed all my kids.
Sometimes Ben Kingsley's got to make Blood Rain, all right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
And sometimes
Meatloaf
Ben
is in
Affleck
that
needs
movie.
a paycheck.
Yeah.
well, yeah. Sorry, every time this conversation comes up, I always think of the argument between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, where it's like, what did I tell you? You make the safe picture, then you make the whatever picture. And of course, George Clooney's gone on record saying like he made Ocean's 12, all of the various Ocean's movies to be able to fund films like Syriana and all this stuff that he wanted to make.
Yeah.
And I've heard
Confessions of a
stories
Dangerous
of
Mind, which is
Yeah.
fucking incredible.
I can't remember the example off the top of my head, but I've heard stories of like big name actors who are like, I made this piece of crap movie because all of my friends got to be in it and that got them paychecks so that they could make mortgage payments. Like, it's not about me. It's about everybody else who worked on that movie
And
getting a
Nicolas
paycheck.
Cage makes a movie so he can buy a dinosaur skull.
Keanu
Priorities.
Reeves, I
Priorities.
believe, gives away large portions of his paychecks to the crew of the films he works on, as well as I think charities and stuff. Like, he's very generous with the
Joe's
money
breaking everything in here.
that he makes on his films.
On the flip side of that, I've read, I'm trying to remember who it was. I want to say it's Patricia Briggs. I could be wrong about this. Maybe it's Mercy Thompson are the novels. I think Patricia Briggs is the writer. But like, I was reading an article about, I think it's Patricia Briggs, but it may be somebody else, who basically wrote a series of books. Her publisher was like, oh, you're writing urban fantasy books. Now you just need to write nothing but urban fantasy books because they make a ton of money. And she was basically like, that's not the only thing I want to write. And in her case, she said, I'm not going to. I'm going to go to a different publisher because you guys are basically hamstringing me. Now,
Yeah.
she was in a position where she was successful enough to be able to afford to make that artistic choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's where all the tension comes up. Like at the end of the day, I think when, when the Sistine Chapel was commissioned, like everybody involved there, I'm sure that was a perfect confluence of artist and opportunity. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone there in the workshop or on the buying side was like, well, someone's going to have to compromise their vision, because they were all kind of on a mutual same page. But I'm sure
Yeah.
there are tons of situations where artists
Michelangelo's just gonna
compromise.
draw dicks on
look-
it.
Yeah.
Look at all the Renaissance painters. Like, a lot of what they painted were portraits.
Right.
Because that's what people paid them to draw.
Right.
Yeah, but they did a lot of subversive shit in that. in
Yeah,
those portraits.
no, and absolutely.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
those guys
they
were-
definitely stuck it to the man. Like,
Sure.
Well, that's how they had got their kicks while still making money.
my thing is like and I was talking to a coworker about this earlier, but I always think of there's a Tool song on Anima called "Hooker with a Penis," and it's a song that Maynard James Keenan wrote after running into a fan at a show that said, "I really liked you guys back before you sold out," and his response was like, "I fucking sold out to have a band. I sold out to make a record, all right? Because I make music. If people don't buy my shit, then I don't have a band."
Yeah.
Like, I can't make a living playing music if nobody's listening to my music. So, like, I really don't care. Like, you want to fucking say I sold out to the man? You're the fucking man. And I'm the man. And he's the man.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he follows up by saying, so you can point that fucking finger up your ass, which is, of course, great. But it's like,
I mean, that's the argument, though. Like, a lot of this, I mean, I see it a lot online, and a lot of generational stuff is like, you have these YouTube creators and stuff, and then the minute they start to get ad revenue money, or like show a product that like someone sent to them for free and be like, hey, would you put my product on your show? We'll give you X amount of dollars or whatever, product placement or games or whatever. Would you play your game on your YouTube channel for money? It's like, and then all the comment section is all about like, oh, what sellouts? Why would they ever do this? And it's like, they made free content for years. And it's like, God forbid they buy one sandwich with this money. Like, God, really? Like,
Well, not to mention the fact it's by people who are still continuing to watch. Like,
yeah.
Well,
I hate you for
yeah.
doing what you're doing. I'm going to continue to watch
well,
what you're
it's
doing.
the
So it's like,
dichotomy. It's the same kind of dichotomy as like, we want the people we admire to be exceptionally well at the things they do, but we also want them to be especially like humble and modest about the things that
Yeah.
they do.
Right.
Because God forbid you should go out and say, hey, I can do this, and I can do this better than like 90% of the population.
Yeah. And it's just like...
Another example, Brian Posehn, who is the joke writer on Deadpool, is in a metal band and was invited to play at the Gathering of the Juggalos. And a bunch of his fans were like, that's so not metal, that's so not metal. And he's like, getting a fucking paycheck is very metal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we want to see our heroes succeed, but sometimes, like, if they get money, we're like, oh, that's the wrong kind of success.
What's crazy about that is that we only do that for certain kinds of effort.
I agree.
Marshawn Lynch can fucking plow motherfuckers down every goddamn Sunday, and he gets paid mad cash, and we're like, oh, he's a fucking sellout, dude. He should be plowing those motherfuckers down for free.
Yeah.
No, he shouldn't.
Sports ball.
He's putting his body and his fucking time on the line. He should be able to beast mode his way through every goddamn motherfucker he wants to and make mad money. And then he should turn around and not have to fucking talk to the press. That's what I fucking think about that. Fuck you and the people who say he signed a contract. He should read it. Have that.
Yeah,
So
take
it's-
that, ESPN.
Yeah,
Fuck
take
you.
that, ESPN. But so it's like, yeah, like this is such like that's what's so weird about like this stuff sometimes. And I
Yeah.
think that's why comics is so interesting, because there are some people, like we talked about this with Judd Winnick.
Yes.
Some people want to get the paycheck. They're willing to play by the rules. Doesn't mean that Judd Winnick's not a good writer. He's capable of good writing. He's capable
We've
of good
seen
drawing.
it. We read Berween.
That's right. So it's like, but that doesn't mean that he's like somehow fucking low scum because he decides to write Batman and Catwoman. And yes, maybe he, I'm sure to a certain extent when they were like, okay, and then we want Batman and Catwoman to have sex on the rooftop in their suits. I'm sure at least at one point he was kind of like, really? They're like, okay, guys, I guess. Like,
Well, then he looked at his bank account and
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
I still need to buy food and pay my fucking bills and have electricity and
And if they're just like,
So you want them in what position?
yeah, he's just basically like, oh yeah, here's $100 to write this sex scene, and he's like, okay, sure.
I think
Right.
it's
I'll walk
about
away with this.
it's this predefined idea of what art should be. Like
Mm-hmm.
my dad is a jazz musician and has been. He started playing piano very young, and he actually started on the fucking accordion and then moved to piano.
like you do.
It's as hardcore as you can get.
Yeah,
really.
I think so. But
That's
like
the most metal thing
when-
I've heard all day.
when he was in his 20s and he wanted to make music for a living, he played in a fucking country western band
Oh yeah,
because
any
it
musician
it fucking paid a paycheck.
has
and that's
these
the thing,
stories. Every musician has that kind of story.
Yeah,
like,
and
I'm a great musician, but now I
people-
play on a cruise ship.
people love those fucking stories. People want to talk about those stories, but the minute Bob Dylan goes electric, oh my god, he's Satan, right? It's like, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of fucking I wasn't a big fan of the Metallica albums that came after the Black Album, but I also understand that they were fucking making music for other people then, It's like, I can't be like, and that's the thing, the argument doesn't become, they don't make music I like anymore, it becomes they sold out. They sold out to get money, and it's like, well, that's their business. Their band is their business now, right? It's like, it would be great if we could live in this perfect world where everybody created art just to create art and everybody's art was sacred and everybody's art was just for you. But that's not the fucking way the world works.
I mean, you could have. The thing is like, as an artist, as a comic book writer, as a creator of something that is going to be like possibly a television or film show, like, you have to take into account that, like, you're not going to please everyone, right? But sometimes the idea is to make something that you're happy with making that
Absolutely.
also at the same time hits the widest amount of people that are going to actually purchase your product.
And if,
like
And I
those of
think
us that
that-
liked Saint Anger.
Yeah.
I think that dovetails very nicely with Four Eyes.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, Joe Kelly isn't making this on a monthly schedule.
Nope.
Like, he's not making it to pay the bills or to please people. Like, oh, I want everybody to read this. Like, he's obviously making it on an ad hoc basis when he can get away with it, which maybe it's every 6 months, maybe it's not for 4 years. Because that, like, he wants to tell a particular kind of story.
And it's always interesting to find out, like, what comic book creators think of their lesser-known works. And that's something I'm interested. Like, I would love to know what Joe Kelly thinks about this. Like, is this one of his pet projects? Like, does he really like this? Or was this something he just tried and, like, is
Right, like at the time, he's like, well, I only got a couple of books going and
Yeah.
some income. I kind of got this idea. I guess we'll run with it. Oh, wait, I got
asked-
Ben 10 and now I'm like making cartoons. And
This was after Ben 10, I think. But I asked Mark Waid once if we were going to get any more, what was that book called? This, Unwritten? No, not Unwritten. It was,
irredeemable,
no.
unretrievable,
Unknown. It's called Unknown. I pitched on the show before. And I asked him at a con if we were ever going to get more, and he was just like, no. Like, he's done. Like, the story doesn't end. There's no ending to that story. But he's just not interested in working on that anymore because he's got other ideas that, like, fascinate him more as a writer.
Well, and that, yeah. I mean...
There are people who still, to this day, write to my father and ask him when he's going to publish the fourth Villiers book, the last of which came out in, like, 1972.
When is it coming out? Do you have the inside info?
I don't.
Call
You don't have
BuzzFeed.
exclusive for
Is he still writing?
He is still writing. He's actually going to have another book out soon. Cool. It's not fiction. It's another nonfiction book. And a lot of the reasons why it hasn't come out is because he really moved from writing fiction to writing nonfiction. But, you know, that was like at the end of the third book, it's like coming soon, the fourth book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never come out. And it's been 40 years.
Yeah.
And people still ask him, like, when is this coming out?
And for him, I'm sure that, like, a lot of that is, like, he has these other projects that he finds more interesting to work on now. And that just happens as an artist. Like, you just move away from stuff that you once were super excited about. And I wonder what Joe Kelly's thoughts on Four Eyes are. If I ever meet him at a con, I'm going to ask him.
Entirely possible that, like...
They have finished 5 and it's ready to go, but 6 hasn't been penciled yet. Well, or at least it hadn't in July.
Yeah, but I mean, like, is he excited about it still? You know?
Oh,
like, I mean, he could have written all of this 10 years ago. Like, well, we don't know.
Well, and I think there's something to the idea of the mainstream work that pays for the stuff that's not mainstream. It's
And
like
that ties into Game of Thrones too.
Mm-hmm.
George Martin has said like he's tired of the series,
oh.
but he's going to finish it because everybody's expecting him to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think I was who was I talking to the other day? I remember
Yourself.
an interview with Billy Joel. I think it was on 60 Minutes. And they were talking about how he had moved more into, a few years ago, he stopped performing kind of pop music and started writing like more classical music, right? More.
Yeah, he hasn't like released an album in a long time.
In quite a while. And like his last 2 were much more piano driven and much more classically driven. And he talked about how there's songs he won't do at shows anymore. Like he won't do Just the Way You Are anymore because while he's singing it, he's saying it fucking thousands upon thousands of times, and while he's singing it, he's thinking about what he's going to get from room service lately, and that's not interesting. There's nothing there anymore. Like he's sung that song before. There are other songs to sing, and I mean, like, there's something to the classics, but at the same time, it's like every once in a while, like not every Metallica album is going to be Master of Puppets, right? Like not every Judd Winnick book is going to be Barry Ween or Exiles.
Yeah.
People have to fucking pay the bills, you know?
Well, and that's not to say that, like, those books aren't great.
No,
it's just
exactly.
to say that,
I
like,
mean,
maybe you don't like those now.
And if you're lucky, you get to do the mainstream work that subsidizes the love work, the passion work. Sometimes, if you're really fucking lucky, the mainstream work is the passion work.
Or your passion work goes mainstream.
Yeah, which is also
Like
the thing
Kirkman.
is, like,
Yeah, Robert Kirkman.
Kirkman, like, The
I
Walking
mean, I
Dead.
hate that because clearly I want everything to belong only to me, and when it becomes popular, then I can't possibly belong only to me anymore, and therefore it's not worth as much.
Says 8-year-old Joe. The thing about Walking Dead for me is, like, it's mainstream, it's huge, it's selling better than it's ever sold, it's got TV shows and whatnot, and I don't like it. And that doesn't have anything really to do with the quality of the work and more to do with the fact that, like, I read a lot of it and got tired of it.
Yeah.
And is that the writing or is that me? And so, like, that's how I feel about bands, is like, you know, if you're a huge fan of an album and you listen to it thousands and thousands of times and you're like, I love this album, I love this album, I love this album, there's no way that the next album could be your favorite album.
Sure.
There's almost no way, because
Unless
you
it's better.
love specifically that album. And in the time that you've spent grinding that album down and listening to it over and over and over again, time has passed and that band has changed, and they're now different people now than they were when they made that album. And so when they make their next album, it's going to be different.
No,
They're going to be different musicians. They're going to have a different message. The feel is going to be and like time passes, and as a fan, we don't feel the passage of time because we get to just live with the work until the next work comes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's going to be interesting to see when the next Four Eyes comes out.
Yeah,
how
that
I feel
will
about
definitely
it.
be interesting. It'll also be interesting to see if it's changed in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But I think it would be, you know, going back to Robert Kirkman for a second, obviously he's doing pretty well from Walking Dead right now, but I wonder which he made more money from, the first 20 or 30 issues of Walking Dead or whatever it was, or the like 5 issues of Marvel Zombies that he wrote. Because I'm going to guess that he probably got a pretty good paycheck from Marvel Zombies,
Well,
which is by far not his best work.
Didn't he write Marvel
Gravity.
Zombies 2 and Marvel Zombies 3?
He wrote Ultimate X-Men.
Marvel
I mean-
Zombies, Stupid Poop, and
I guess-
Marvel
But
Zombies,
I
Hate
mean,
Everybody.
my point is that like sometimes you do the mainstream work and that gets you the paycheck.
Right.
When your labor of love like isn't necessarily successful right away or
Right.
at all. And of course, like sometimes you do get really, really lucky, and the passion work does take off.
And that's the whole argument for the Robert Kirkman like manifesto that he made back in the day was like, yeah, he got paid more for those first 5 issues of Marvel Zombies than he did for the first 20 issues of Walking Dead, but like having gone out and created Walking Dead is his lifestyle now. You know, like that pays for him to be a creator of comics now.
Yeah.
And the paycheck that he took away from Marvel Zombies 1 through 5, like, it was nice at the time, but it doesn't continue to pay the bills. And, like, the investment he made by stretching out and going, I'm going to make creator-owned work, ensures that he's going to live well forever. And that's...
Hopefully.
I mean, and that's what we want, though, from our creators, is, like, that they can live comfortably and continue to create things that we love. And so that's why I'm, like, always really opposed to the idea of, oh, he's sold out.
And this is why we always tell you to buy Brandon Graham a sandwich.
He might be hungry. Or if you listen to Out of the Fridge, we often tell people to feed Jim Lee. You have to listen
Well,
to
No, he
Out
is
of
a
the
very
Fridge
hungry
for that.
cat.
You have to listen
Feed him
to
something high in omega-3s because that's good for the
brain function.
That's
There's
funny
a
if
story-
you read the Outhousers.
On Out of the Fridge, Kelly and Allison were talking about how they went to the DC Summit meeting, and like they were there, and there was a huge line, and everyone was just bringing out like stacks of books for Jim Lee to sign. So many, in fact, that like they ran out of food before Jim Lee got to eat. And they were like, we felt so bad for him because we just wanted to like bring him food. And I was like, you should always bring Jim Lee food. So, and get Brandon Graham a sandwich. And was it Mark Wade or Mike Carey or somebody? We were telling someone to bring sandwiches to someone else at some point. So I don't remember.
honestly
I
don't
mean,
remember.
you can,
Just feed these creators, man. They're hungry sometimes.
it's true.
Yeah, and it's why things like Patreon are so great, because it allows people who don't necessarily have that mainstream audience to cultivate a following and still get paid at least something, like enough to
Kickstarter.
keep doing what they're doing.
Kickstarter is like one of my favorite things
Oh yeah.
of all time. I love kickstarting books so much. It just makes me super excited.
I'll mention Kickstarter during my pitch.
Oh, well,
Awesome.
there we go. Do we? Yeah.
Pitchy poo.
I mean,
I've said
and-
it on the show before, and I've messaged people, but like, if you're a comic book creator and you have a Kickstarter for a comic, like, please email it to us. If we
Yeah.
don't
Mention
post
it
it, or
on the air.
we'll try. I mean, if we don't post it or whatever, like, at least we'll look at it, and I'll probably buy a digital copy of whatever you're putting
Absolutely.
out. I
mean,
love Kickstarter shit.
Look at Andres Salazar for an example. He took a shot in the dark, emailed us, and we both pitched his book on the show,
Yeah.
sent out links to his Kickstarter's
Yeah.
Yeah,
sale page.
I'm not quite ready to launch it yet, but I've been thinking about creating some kind of venue for us to talk about like super small press stuff,
Yeah.
like really indie things and Kickstarters and webcomics and stuff. So I'm going to create a new email address, review@viewfromthegutters.com.
Bingo.
If you have anything like that, send that email to us. We'll put it in the file, and we'll start releasing stuff on this stuff. It may not be right away, but soon.
Yeah.
Soon-ish.
And by the time this episode drops, that will be a real email
If
address.
nothing else, I'll plug you on my Twitter that I'd never use.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So, boom. You could have that.
And I will retweet that on the View from the
call that the
Gutters
Cade
Twitter
bump.
that
The
we
Cade
actually
bump.
do use.
You will get so many donations from that. Well, I don't know. You guys,
Wow, the Cade bump sounds like something else.
it sounds like a hot dance move from like the 1960s. Do you guys have anything you wanted to add about the whole transition from comics into? We kind of got off topic a little bit, but the transition of comics that feel like they were meant as a pitch.
It's a conversation that I'd like to have again if we ever talk about We Three by Grant Morrison. But here and now, I think I've said what I need to say.
Well,
Joe's furiously texting.
I think the interesting thing about it is that it comes at a time when it looks like Global Frequency is going to be picked back up,
which is amazing.
I am fucking super stoked about because it's one of my favorite Warren Ellis things. But because it's clearly, Warren Ellis is clearly like, make this a television show, it'll totally work.
Wait, so it's getting picked back up?
Yeah,
there was a pilot.
Okay,
so
but there was not a Global Frequency show before?
No.
So in 2005, I want to say, maybe earlier.
Yeah, 2004 or 5, there
They
was a
made
pilot episode they made that didn't get picked up.
No, what happened, if you
Sorry?
Apparently none of us know
we're
what
going to
talking
have
about.
such a slap fight in the parking lot after this episode.
I will win that fight.
Only because my arms are sore. So they made a pilot, and it was pirated. It got leaked, and it was pirated. So, of course, nowadays, they know how to deal with that kind of stuff, and they would just push everything out and be like, oh, like 1 million people downloaded this? We're going to it's going to be huge, right?
Yeah.
But back then, they were like, they didn't know what the fuck to do, so they just shut it down. But they're
so
going
weird.
to, yeah, I know, right? So, but it's going to be a thing, which is great because we've definitely talked about it before, and I'm super fucking stoked about it. Well, I am cautiously optimistic, which for me is the same thing as super fucking stoked about it. Because
If you don't immediately go, oh, that's going to be garbage, I assume you're pretty stoked
Yeah,
about it.
right,
Because
pretty
90% of the time, you reflexively dismiss things so your heart doesn't get broken when they're
it's
shitty.
exactly true. It's exactly true because I feel deeply. But you know, I think that there's a reason they use storyboards in movies, right? And comic books, they lend themselves very well to storyboarding.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a good idea, you should get out there. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, well, you just made this because it's a pitch for something, then you shouldn't do it because that's just kind of, it's like,
Yeah.
no. If you're a fucking artist, create art. If you
Yeah.
want to make comic books, make fucking comic books. If you want to make a webcomic, make a webcomic. If you want to pitch your idea for a movie, TV show, fucking like concept rock opera in comic book format, then fucking do that shit and do it because you should do that. That's why it's there. And
Well,
comic books are awesome
Joe,
as a medium.
are you pitching a relaunch of Cop Rock?
Yes, I am. I'm
wow.
in talks with several imaginary networks in my head.
The Blue from the Gutters exclusive.
It may be the
I have a
peyote
copter
I
on my
took
mouth.
before
It's
this
hard to talk.
episode, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna sell them on it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that no two people have the same story of how they got into whatever industry they got into. Like, Kevin Smith's story is so much different than J.J. Abrams' story of how they became directors, and yet they're both directors and they both get to make films,
Well,
which was the end goal, right?
Spielberg walked into a goddamn office on the Universal lot and put his name up on the door and pretended to be somebody he wasn't. And that's how he fucking got his first gig. I mean, like, that's it. If you want to fucking do
That's
it, then do it.
The maybe Funke
Well, that's
method.
yeah. I was just about to say that's how
exactly.
maybe Funke got the job. too.
Marry me.
And there's no two stories that are similar for how people get into comics
No,
either.
that's-
And it's
yeah.
just like, if you're passionate about something, like, just go for it. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, Wayne Gretzky once said that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Don't take.
So just make stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what we're doing.
Make it.
One
Make
day,
Make it till you fake it.
you're going to be watching View from the Gutters on some
Fox.
cable
Cable access.
cable channel on the high hundreds,
On Fox. I'm calling it now. We're getting signed.
canceled after 7 episodes.
Yes. That's how we do.
It'll be
That's
like
how we
comic
do.
book men, but unsuccessful.
Yeah. Also funny. And therefore canceled. This is too
Also,
good
we're
going
going
to
to replace Joe with a sexy girl.
Yes. Oh,
Oh, dude,
can we do
wait
that
a minute.
sooner?
I'm not okay with that.
She's going to have to wear a beard.
And
though.
I'm Joe Pretty
I'm
Girl.
double okay with that.
Awesome.
Gotten awkward.
I was talking to a friend this weekend about if ladies could grow beards, and she was like, I wish I could grow a beard. And I was like, I wish you could grow a beard too.
Same.
Anyway.
And on that note, let's move on to recommendations before we say more horrible things that people will judge us for.
Before we move on to recommendations, I did want to say this semi off topic suggestion I felt was a great idea, and so please send us more.
Yes. Send us things you want us to talk about on episodes.
Yes.
So we'll stop talking about ladies with beards.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
see
about
what
it more.
happens when we're left to our own devices. Send us more
I
topics.
don't want to ever be a part of something where talking about ladies with beards is not beards is not an option.
Well,
What about bees? Ladies with bees.
I'm less interested in that, but I'll talk about
what
it.
about like a bikini? Like a
I'm-
bikini made of bees.
Oh, God.
I'm more interested in that.
Pretty sure that's been
Yes,
done
now I
before, and
really-
you can
Okay,
Google it.
I'm going to start recommendations because I know what I'm recommending, and I'm going to do it quickly because I have to go to bed soon. And I'm
wasn't
going to fall
done.
asleep in the studio.
Wasn't talking about bikinis yet.
We'll talk about bikinis. It's a new podcast,
Okay.
all about bikinis.
Done.
Joe, what is your pitch?
I bought the Valiant Humble Bundle, and I've been really stoked to talk about it. So I'm going to pitch the first 2 volumes of Archer and Armstrong. Yes. Basically, it's a story of a functionally immortal guy that gets tracked by this young dude that's been raised by a religious cult to track down these artifacts for a machine. And they team up and end up going to do stuff. Is pretty much what it is. They end up kind of realizing that they have the same goal, and they team up. And
So this is a buddy cop flick.
It is
It's
a
a buddy
buddy
cop. It's a
cop, yeah.
comedy. If you liked, what was that book that we did? Incredible Hercules.
Yes.
I think you would super dig this book.
Yeah, it's very like Archer is very. He's a drunk. He's been alive for like fucking
Thousands of years.
thousands of years. Armstrong has been raised by like a super Jesus cult, so he's clean living. He doesn't swear, so there's a lot of play there, and I think it's played very well.
And they just recently did a crossover with the Quantum and Woody called The Delinquents, where it's like 4 of them. And so it's the 2 like Valiant humor books. And there is a map that is tattooed on a hobo's butt cheeks that has been like preserved and dried. And like that's the map they used through that series. So it's like that kind of tone.
Right.
Like weird stuff, but like also
Okay.
a guy gets put into like a wood chipper at some point too, or like a corn thresher at some point too. So it's like, you know, there's like a good trade-off of like weird violence and kind of superheroism because he's immortal and super strong like Hercules, and also like it's funny and kind of Archer's.
He's
don't know.
coarse.
Yeah, he's coarse. Yeah.
It's very odd couple in a way,
Yeah.
but it's endearing.
It's
and,
funny.
It was one of my favorite books from back in the day, Valiant, and I was very pleased to see that they're taking it in a good direction in modern Valiant. And I don't think we've ever spoken about a Valiant book in 95 episodes, so
I talk about the new Valiant stuff on top of
on
the stack.
top of the
all
stack,
time.
yeah, but that's kind of its island in its own.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I mean, we're not cool enough to be on top of the stack.
It's the place where Eric Mannix
But,
exists. It's not in our hearts.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, Archer and Armstrong, the first 2 volumes. I think it probably comprises 10 or 12. I'm not sure if the first
it's
trade is
12.
5 or 6, so I'm going to assume it's 12 issues. But good stuff. Good stuff.
Cool beans. Cade.
Okay, well, I had a recommendation that I wanted to talk about after Miss Marvel, and that is Astonishing X-Men again because of things. Reading Miss Marvel made me read all 24 issues of Whedon's run again, and I was going to recommend that tonight, but something else got onto my radar this week, and I ended up reading the first of 3 trades, and it was awesome. And so I'm going to hold it up. This is called Pinocchio Vampire Slayer.
Okay. I'm listening.
You have my attention.
This was created and drawn by Dusty Higgins and written by Van Jensen. The first trade came out in 2008.
This is slave labor, right?
Yes, slave labor graphics. Second trade came out in 2010, and then the third trade just came out this year.
Cool.
So they take a lot of time making these trades.
Are they
Perfect.
singles first, or are they just
No, they're
ongoing graphic novel series, kind of?
yeah, or self-contained graphic novels.
OGNs. Original
Original.
graphic
Yeah.
novels.
And
Industry
this is,
terms.
it takes place after the book, which is different than the movie in
Okay.
some ways, such as in the book, Jiminy Cricket was killed right away by Pinocchio. He was maybe
He's a bug.
in 2 paragraphs. But like in this book, the ghost of Jiminy Cricket comes back and is talking to him.
Cool.
So basically the story is right at the beginning. Vampires break into the shop and kill Geppetto. And so Pinocchio and
The ghost of Jiminy Cricket.
the ghost of Jiminy Cricket, the Great Blue Fairy, and
The whale.
Giganto.
Cherry.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Or a Normo or something like
It
that.
is, I think it is gigantic.
I didn't know the whale had a name.
Um,
I learned something today.
and the other guy whose name is Cherry, he was the original person who found the talking piece of wood that he gave to Geppetto to make into a puppet. These guys now become a vampire hunting crew.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Like you do, and it's really badass. Pinocchio will run into battle and shout lies at the enemies and break off his nose to stab them with it. And in one point he even yells, "Your mother was a whore!" And his nose doesn't grow, and the bad guy just starts crying, and he's like, "I know."
I presume then that in this story he never became a real boy.
Correct.
Gotcha. Neat.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I read the first trade really quick, and I was just like, I have to recommend this.
Very cool.
Oh, it was also available recently for the Halloween Humble Bundle. So hopefully a lot of you picked it up on that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good Humble Bundles lately. I'm all about.
Crazy good humble bundles.
And also, all the image, like a lot of image trades are still half off right now from Comixology, I believe.
That could very well be
They're like
true.
$4.99 for all the first trades of a lot of, or like early trades of a lot of stuff. I think like the first 3 Saga trades are all like $4.99 each.
It's also got this kind of like Hellboy black and white
Oh, that's cool.
vibe going on.
Kind of reminds me of like Double Fine. If you ever play any Double Fine video
Yeah,
games, like it
that's
reminds me a
right.
little bit of that art style.
Yeah.
I like it.
Neat.
Branticles.
Well, I'm going to keep up the non-Big Two recommendations. I wanted to talk about Gladstone School for World Conquerors, Volume 1 by Mark Andrew Smith and Armand Villavert. The Kickstarter part is that Volume 2 went through a successful Kickstarter run, I think, in May.
Oh, cool.
And so that should be coming out at some point. But the first, I can't remember what imprint, I think it was Image maybe, that the first volume set came out. But basically it's supervillain children prep school. And it's about all of these kids who basically are the children of kind of higher up superpowered people meeting each other and having school hijinks, but also finding out that like there's weird things happening at the school and they're kind of investigating them. And it's got kind of a tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. It's got kind of a fun, more animated style, very brightly colored. There's some great moments in it, and it's just fun. And it's a book that I always think about for some reason. Like I just kind of like, oh yeah, that book. It's funny.
Neat. And what's it called?
Mostly
Gladstone School for World Conquerors.
because you wish you had gone to a school for
well,
World
I
Conquerors.
do.
Oh, right.
Wait, is that not where we went to school?
Nope.
Damn it. I was lied to.
Yep.
You didn't get.
That was my pitch.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to break the chain, and I'm going to pitch a Marvel book.
Nope. Here we go.
Nope.
I'm actually going to pitch an old Marvel book. This is from 1989 or 90. Sources are conflicting. I'm going to pitch Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment
Oh, yeah.
by Roger Stern, Mike Mignola, and Mark Badger.
We talked about this recently, you and I.
Yes.
Off mics.
Yes, when I told you my
camera.
list of things that I was going to pitch.
Yeah.
And what the story is basically there's like a once-in-a-century contest between wizards. And Doctor Strange is there and a bunch of other wizards. And Doctor Doom shows up, and they're like, you're not a real wizard. And he's like, whatever, I'll show you punks. And there's a big contest, and Doctor Strange wins. But then he owes Doctor Doom a boon because he came in like second. And so Doom is like, you're going to help me liberate my mother's soul from hell. And Doctor Strange is like, cool, I'll do it. And so they go to hell and fight Mephisto. and it's this really awesome like 80-page comic with Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, who are both really cool
That sounds awesome.
in it. Like, it's really well written. Mike Mignola's art is incredible as always.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's one of those comics that just kind of feels timeless. And it's a really great character portrait of two characters that don't get to interact a whole lot.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
I've been reading a lot of Hellblazer recently, so it makes me want to read about more people going to hell than just John, who's just tired of being there. His 100th journey to hell, he's like, again, really?
Well, it's really great because, like, when Doctor Doom asks him, he's like, at first he's like, I'm not going to do anything for Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom tells him what he wants, and he's like, oh, well, I would have done that if you just asked me. And Doom was like, Doom doesn't beg. Like, if you owe me a favor, I'll make
cash
you
it
do
in.
this
Yeah.
for me, but I'm not going to ask you to do it as a favor. Like, that's not how I roll.
That's awesome.
Which is just, it's a really cool scene.
I love Doom. Very cool.
Yeah.
Doom is the shit.
So if you like Doom, if you like Doctor Strange, definitely check this one out.
Cool.
Chard, what do you got?
Well, I brought an image book.
What?
Yeah, I don't. Are we gonna do that every week? I don't know what we.
If you
Well,
always
you
start
announce
like
it like we don't. It's like, well, I brought an image book. I know that's out of character.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been reading a lot of the ongoing current image stuff, and it's basically just like part of the 52 weeks of images. I know there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and I have to wait for it to get to a point in which I feel like it's appropriate to pitch it.
I know this feel.
Because there's stuff that I'm like, we need to be reading this right now. And then I'm like, there's only one issue of that. You cannot pitch that on the show. But I want to talk about it. And so I'm like, I have this big calendar of stuff when like trades come out. And today, on the release of this episode, the first trade of a book called Sovereign comes out. Sovereign, trade paperback, volume 1. And I really, really enjoy this book. Basically, this book it's set up in a fantasy world, and it is told through the perspective at the beginning of 3 different groups of people. There are these, I think they're called luminaries. Yeah, luminari. And the luminari come down from the wall beyond silence, or the walls of silence, which is a place. And they come down to the lowlands to usher the dead, or to purify the dead so that demons can't use their bodies. So they're doing these like rituals of like pouring sand around the bodies and like chopping them up into small pieces, and like basically they're kind of like untouchables. They're kind of these like, they dispose of the dead. They do this ancient ritual thing that the people of the valley have like forgotten how to do. That's one of the groups of people it talks about. It also talks about these like horse lords. He's like a son of a great like king, and it's very like he's like a sultan. He has those like very, you know, like those rounded topped buildings like you'd see in like Aladdin
minarets.
or something. Yeah, and
It's like I think it's actually a Persian design.
yeah, I don't know where Aladdin's set in.
It's set in Baghdad, I think, originally. I mean, in the Disney cartoon, it's Agrabah, but
Right,
that's not a real place.
So it's
Says you.
yeah, but it's the Middle East, right? And
But yeah,
so they're-
I think Aladdin is one of the 1,001 Nights.
It is.
Is it? Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, it's
believe
so
it is.
Yes, it is.
there's these like horse like cavalry guys. They're like out in the fields and the deserts and stuff, and he is like the son of the king, and he's out riding with all these people, but he's kind of like the less well-known son, which is why he's like out away from the city, and like he's not really like one of the people. Like I get the feeling he's kind of like a bastard son. And he finds out that his father's dead, so he has to return to the city where he's not super welcome because his like older brother is kind of like the more well-known son in the city. And then there's a third group of people that are traveling to that land that are kind of like, they look like British or Spanish explorers. They have kind of a Victorian look about them, and they're on this boat like traveling across the ocean, and they have kind of like a Charles Darwin or like a scientist with them who's like drawing all these drawings, and like they're exploring the world for the first time, and they see like they get attacked by like a giant shark that's been putrefied and is dead, but like why did this dead animal attack them? And so there's all this kind of like weird magic stuff going on, and it's really cool, and I really like it. And I think the art's gonna throw a lot of people because I'm kind of holding it up as I go. It's kind of like oddly cartoonish in like it looks sort of like I don't know. It's kind of like Nemo in Slumberland, but like not as refined, like not as detailed as that, you know?
Which just completely, by the way, the relaunch of Little Nemo in Slumberland is incredibly good.
Yeah, Eric Shanower is writing that, and I love it. It's fucking phenomenal.
So beautiful.
So it's kind of like, it's like a little lumpier than that, and it's like not quite as detailed, but it's very like vibrant and colorful like that, and I like the way that it looks. And so each story is kind of broken up, each issue is broken up into kind of multiple parts until all of those people end up in the same place. And you realize that like that's a converging story, like that all of that stuff is going to play into this story. And I think it's like the second or third issue that they all end up in the same place. And so I believe it's the first 6 issues of Sovereign are in the first trade, and then issue 7 also comes out today, I believe. So
Awesome.
yeah, and it's a cool book. It's an Image, and I would have totally overlooked it had I not been reading every new #1 that came out for Top of the Stack. And I read the first issue, and I was like, oh, it's kind of slow. It's interesting. Oh, it also has these big text pieces in the back that are about the world. So if you like, after you've read the issues, you want to go back and like learn more about the world that you're not seeing in the issues. There's a lot of density to it, and I really like that. So I read it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it is. It's short, but there's a lot going on, and it kind of reads a little more like an older comic in some ways. So
Nice.
I really dig it.
Joe, what are you voting for?
Joe, wake up.
Oh, we lost Joe.
Oh, you poked the bear. He was hibernating.
Can't
Can
reach him.
I have it whittled down between 2, but I need a little bit.
We can come back to you.
Yeah, come back to me because I can't figure out because.
I hate this voting system. I know I made it up, but like I don't like it.
No, I won't.
We should really do an approval system where we rank their picks from 1 to 5, and then we tally it, and then we can do an instant runoff.
Then we can reach into a,
I'm going to vote for Sovereign.
Okay. Cade?
Gladiator School.
Yeah.
Gladstones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gladiator School is not a book.
Conquer School.
But I'm also voting for Gladiator School because I want to read that.
Sounds like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Grant?
I'd watch
Doom and
it.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That puts me in an awkward position.
Pinocchio.
Well, I
hope they can hear
kind
that
of
on
want to
the mic.
vote for Sovereign, but I also want my book to be picked, and if I vote for Sovereign, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But I'm going to vote for Sovereign and not be a dick, and I will bring back Doctor Strange.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to vote for Doctor Strange, and Toby knows that, so that's why it's a tough choice. But I really want to read Gladstone, but I also can't vote for that. So I'm totally going to vote for Pinocchio, because I also want to read that one. So
Having brought Loaded Bible personally, I feel like there's a part of me that should vote for Pinocchio, but Sovereign just sounds like super cool.
I really like it. I don't know, the art's tough. I think the art is the biggest challenge of this story. I think everything else like works together really well. So I'm excited to see what you guys think about it. But I'm pumped. You guys brought all books that I hadn't read before, except for Joe. But that can't be helped.
What did Joe pitch?
Archer
and Armstrong,
Oh,
which is
right.
fantastic.
I am on a fucking streak, man. I got to go back and I can't remember the last book of mine that was picked.
We've never picked a book of yours.
No, I definitely have.
I don't think so. Not on purpose.
I officially decided today that I'm just going to start making up.
I was totally going to go for Archer and Armstrong until the whole Mike Mignola draws Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Just for background, one of my favorite runs of Fantastic Four is where Mark Waid writes about Doom giving up his techno proficiency to gain the mantle of
leather armor, dude.
Of magic, so that he can become Sorcerer Supreme. Basically,
Is that the one where he
It's Mark Waid and what's his face?
yeah. And then
Laringo?
one of my
Mike
other
Laringo.
favorite books is the Rick Remender, woefully canceled far too early, Doctor Voodoo, which
I hate
is
the name of that series.
yeah, but.
When did he have the time to go to med school? In between the previous issue and the next issue. Are you promoting him up the levels of voodoo? Because
Actually-
above Brother is Papa. And Papa Voodoo is a fucking cool name for that book.
Well, and what's interesting about that is, isn't Brother Voodoo's alter ego a doctor?
As I thought it was like.
I don't think so.
I think he is. Anyway, it does. I can't remember for all of a sudden, but anyway, in that Brother Voodoo becomes the next Sorcerer Supreme,
Right.
and of course, one of the first things that happens is he gets into a knockdown drag-out with Doom, who's basically like, "No, I should be the next Sorcerer Supreme." So I've got a big thing for Doctor Doom asserting his magical rights.
I always like it when he travels back in time and talks to Morgan Le Fay and gets magic and stuff. It's
No one understands Doom.
Just as a note for our listeners, I went to look up the list of episodes, and instead my iPad brought up a list of donkeys for sale. Because we were discussing it before the episode.
I wanted to know how much donkeys
We are
cost
not going to tell
for
you why,
reasons.
though. You'll just have to live with not knowing.
I did. I
but I
asked Toby,
believe-
how much does a donkey cost? And Toby, being a good friend with an iPad, Googled it for me.
And they're surprisingly reasonably priced.
I think they're overpriced, to be honest
Didn't
with
you say you could get one for like $50?
Yeah, you can get a donkey for $50.
I don't know.
One of
reasonable.
these donkeys. There are donkeys that are substantially more expensive than that else.
Probably better donkey.
But for the record, the last book of Joe's that we picked was Batman Nightfall, and that was episode 83.
So not that, like 10 episodes ago.
Like 12.
12. It was a while ago.
It's been a long time since my book. Oh, wait. Paradise X. But that kind of wasn't my book.
It totally was your book, and we're all blaming you for it.
Yeah.
Wait, who pitched Barry Ween?
Me?
Yes.
Brand.
Okay. Because I know that Joe has pitched it in the past.
And
That is
I pitched it 3 times.
Yeah.
But the second Brant brings
I don't
it.
know.
we
Hey,
pick it.
look. It's as much about timing. As
I
So
started
now
this-
you got to bring Captain Marvel, Brant.
Oh, no, I can't. I can't take that from Kaylee.
No, she would murder you.
I know.
I'm done. I'm seriously going to start making up books.
Start with Gladiator School. That'd be good.
I'm going to recommend Gladiator School. It's a story about two 20-somethings that have just graduated college, don't know what to do with their lives in ancient Rome.
And I think the last book
I'm
of Joe's
changing
that
my
we picked
vote to
before
that.
was Daredevil, which was episode 72.
So
Daredevil.
you're on a yearly cycle or a
Bi-monthly?
12, yeah, bi-monthly.
Like 12, every 12 weeks.
I thought I was. Wait a minute. I think I had a book in between Daredevil and Nightfall.
Did you pitch Hawaiian Dick? That
No,
was,
I did.
No,
No.
it was Jared.
yeah, because it was Daredevil, League of One, Black Science, Universe X, Hellboy, Rocket Girl Seconds, Hawaiian Dick, The Wake, Queen and Country, The Fuse, and then Batman.
The Wake was my
Was that
pitch.
you? Okay.
was
Yeah,
you.
that was.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Which is still one of the single greatest first trades ever.
You were so let down by this.
Okay.
I was.
I'm calling episode over. Some of us have to go home and go to bed.
No, we're keeping you here forever.
No,
I forgot
I'm
we were
leaving.
recording. I
You just
took my
want to go
headphones
cuddle
off.
with your puppy.
I do
Did
want to cuddle
Did you
with
get
my
your puppy already?
I did. Have I not? Have you not seen the pictures?
Well, you
We'll
showed me
post a-
videos.
we'll
but I
post a
haven't-
picture
all
of the puppy.
I
We
haven't
will
gotten to
post
play with your puppy yet, which
our,
makes it not real.
And everybody should call it Kirby Jr.
No, his name is Benson Sexysworth, son of Hercules, the 16th Earl of Liam Neeson Fordhaven.
Perfect.
You're one
So,
of those people, huh?
The
Kirby
reason
Hey,
why
he's fucking got AKC papers, and if I'm gonna fucking register his name, it's gonna be a hell of a fucking name.
And his father's name actually was Hercules.
His father's full name was Shooting Star Hercules X2. And his mother's name was like Lady Piper of Pan.
who names dogs like this?
He's a purebred. Like, I had no idea, but he's like, me and Curbotron 2000 got a corgi, and he's a purebred. I did not expect to get a purebred, and he's the most adorable fucking, like, I cannot deal with how cute he is.
Yeah,
because
he's a
I'm
Christmas
like,
present.
he is a Christmas present, and I'm like Mr. Surly, right? And I get home, and this adorable little puppy is there, and I'm just like, baby. And then I feel like ill and like ill, but
And
yeah.
then your daughter will start wondering why you never treated her with the same
Oh
kind
no,
of
I
affection.
totally fucking did.
and-
I totally did.
I
Yeah.
know. I just like
My
saying it.
my
She
dad
used
was
to be
worse.
adorable, too.
She was adorable. My dad was adorable with her though. He would sit there and like do that in public with her and just be like, "Achoo, boo, 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 boo," and it was hilarious to watch him with her.
All right. Next week, Sovereign.
Yes,
Yes.
send us your emails.
Yeah,
We'll
email us
put a
questions.
picture of Benson on the About Us page.
Add Benson
Kirby
to the
Jr.
host page.
We'll add him to the host page. He's got a lot of opinions.
I will
Yeah.
post it to the Facebook.
Sweet.
Yes, we will
All right.
do that.
Thank you
All
for
right.
listening, everybody. We love
Good
you
night.
all.
We love you.
Good night. Thank you for listening to View from the Gutters. I hope our recommendations have inspired you to go out and find some new comics you'll enjoy.
Join us next time for a discussion of our selected title, but like every week, we encourage you to read all of the recommended books. In the meantime, please leave us an iTunes review. It really does help new listeners find the show. You can also like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at ViewFRTHGutters. Feel free to email us at contact@viewfromthegutters.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or recommendations you might have. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new videos every week. And thanks again for listening. And as always, keep reading.